Hey guys, welcome back to Creating Careers Podcast. Today is the 50th episode of this podcast. Thank you so much to each of you for watching, paying attention, liking, sharing, all the things. Thank you. On today's episode, it's really special to me. I get to introduce you to my longtime friend, the OG of creatives in my life, and really just been somebody who's been a mentor to me early in my life. He officiated mine and my wife's wedding. This is the one and only Greg Key. Greg is from the Birmingham area originally, currently living with his wife and kids in Auburn. Greg is truly an incredible creative and a genuine friend. I'm really excited to introduce you to him today. Check it out. Greg Key, thank you so much for being on Creating Creators Podcast. I feel like I owe you, and I've said this so many times to people. I may have mentioned it on the podcast, but I know I've mentioned it to people personally. You are the reason, in part at least, why I'm doing the kind of work that I do now. Yeah. I was teaching at Oak Grove, and somebody came up. My principal offered for me to change to marketing instead of history, and as a teacher, and there was the career tech supervisor was there, and he said, "Hey, you can offer credentials in Microsoft Office," which I thought that's really boring, or Adobe. And I was like, I don't know how to use Adobe, but the coolest guy I knew as a teenager and young adult used Adobe all the time, man. Greg Key. And I was like,
if I
can learn that stuff, I would love to learn it. And I'd love to teach it. So that started my.
Make me blush, man. Stop it.
Well, seriously, man, you the kind of work you were doing as a youth pastor back in. Yeah. What was this? I guess in the 90s, late 90s.
You ain't got to say it. It dates us both, man.
But in the late 90s, the kind of stuff you were doing with your graphic design background and your creativity, and to be honest, probably your disgustingness. And we'll reference that a little bit later on. But like the kind of stuff you were doing as a youth pastor was just really inspiring to me. Not to mention, you took me under your wing in a lot of ways, and I really appreciate it. Seriously.
Yeah, man, dude. Wow, man, it's equally a blessing for me as it is for you, man, for sure. There's no doubt about it, man. So I doubt I'll go the whole time without tearing up a little bit. I'll just try not to show it. So
the glasses help. I'm an old dad now, and I feel like, I cry over. I cry over movies all the time, or TV shows, or even Instagram reels. I'll be scrolling through, and it's some dad talking about something. I'm a mess.
Yeah, once you become a dad, man, it's a game changer for sure. Sure, no doubt about it. I was talking about it with one of my coworkers this morning, talking about Big Hero 6. Remember Big Hero 6?
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I ain't gonna lie, man. At the end, I was sobbing like a baby. I mean, when Baymax didn't make it out of the hole, sorry if that's a spoiler alert. I feel like the movie's been out long enough. People should have seen it by now. When Baymax didn't make it out of the hole, I'm just like, like what? So it's not very manly. But I got
Field of Dreams gets me, man. Whenever he throws baseball with his dad, I'm like, my dad's still alive. I could go throw today, and I don't. But still, it gets me crying. So it's great.
All those do a little different, man. For sure. Yeah.
That's funny. Awesome. Well, listen, I want to know, obviously, a little bit more of your story. Some of it I know, a lot of it. I mean, to be honest, we haven't been around each other since, early 2000s. I guess 2003, 2004 was when we got married, which you officiated. And
so, you don't know a little secret? Don't tell anybody. Just be between us.
Yeah.
No, I still have their suit that I officiated your wedding in, and I've only had to have it altered once. How about them apples? I still wear it.
Nice. I still have the suit, but I can't fit in it now. It just hangs in my closet
now, man.
No, I did not bulk up. I don't even know what you'd call it. I filled out. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, I get it, man.
Embrace the dad bod fully. So but all right. Well, I want to get into some of your story and specifically get into some of the little like beginning pieces of your story.
Yeah, sure.
So and now I'm like gonna lose my slides. I'm trying something a little bit different this time, which is always a great idea, just before you.
No, it's all good, man.
All right, let's see if this works now. There we go. All right. So, and let me say, most people, I have a hard time and I have to sort of dig up some funny photos. I don't have to try very hard at all, man. They are everywhere. The only thing that sort of pains me is I didn't have a lot of photos of you when I was in your youth.
Yeah. Well, I don't think cameras were invented back then. So I actually was thinking this morning, two things about your podcast with me. Now I haven't watched all 457 episodes that you have so far.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest guest that you've had on your podcast so far. Like I'm 50. Like I'll be 50 this summer in like a month.
Okay. Yeah.
So I feel like I might be the oldest that you've ever had.
Let's just assume.
And I guarantee you had to spend the least amount of effort looking for pictures for me.
Definitely.
Like your struggle was going through trying to decide which three to pick, right? And so, who is the real Greg Key? Which is my social media handle, by the way, as if there's other Greg Keys out there.
There's a few, but not too many in Alabama that I know of.
I was curious. So I went on a little side note. I went on a restricted access mission trip several years ago. So they, you have to find out your digital footprint. So I Googled my name, and at the time, this African-American athlete popped up. I mean, super fit, super things. And I'm like, okay, if that pops up first, I think I'm safe. Like that, it's like, like people aren't going to be like, oh, is that you?
Yeah.
No, it's not me at all. So I'm born at an early age, in Birmingham. So I know you predominantly interview, thanks for getting my corny joke, by the way. I know you interview people in Birmingham. Birmingham is my hometown. So I was born and raised on the east side of Birmingham. And dude, I just love to always draw. I was always doodling. When I was going to church with my parents when I was a kid, we had those little coloring books that had the little trace papers, like every other one. And you could trace the little thing and color it in. I mean, I was just always coloring and doodling. But I always did athletics too. And so I don't know, I was probably in like junior high, like early high school. And you have to start thinking career fairs. Hey, what do you want to do with your life kind of stuff, which I think is a terrible decision that like a 14 or 15-year-old has to make. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I didn't know, man. I knew I liked to draw. I knew I liked to doodle. I knew I liked to, art class was always one of my favorites. But man, at the time, the only adjective that was linked with artist was starving, right? He's a starving artist. Right. And I never saw that booth at the career fair, right? Hey, I want to be starving artist as a career. And so I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And fortunately, I have a cousin, it's about 3 years older than me. And he was in school at Savannah College of Art and Design, SCAD, over in Savannah, Georgia. Yeah. And he was doing graphic design. He said, Greg, you might be a great fit for graphic design. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I had never heard, of what that was. And so my junior year for spring break, I flew over to Savannah. And I spent the week with him, and I went with him to his classes, and he introduced me to this whole new world that I didn't know existed. Everything I had been doing as far as like branding, illustration, doodling, layouts, like all that kind of stuff, just for funsies, winning art shows in high school in Birmingham, I had no idea I could do a career with it. And so I was also a competitive swimmer at the time. My childhood dream was to swim in the Olympics, believe it or not.
I always thought you had the physique of Michael Phelps, so I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe I think he's got way more definition and tone.
A little bit broader shoulders.
I think I just blew out the gain on your camera. But yeah, so Auburn at the time, Auburn had an incredible swim team under David Marsh, as well as a great graphic design program, which it still does today. And so, I applied to Auburn my junior year, and I got to come here, and I actually came as a freshman to do both, to swim on the swim team and to do graphic design. During my freshman year, I realized I wasn't going to be able to juggle both throughout the entire career. And I thought, I was like, a swimmer, I'm mediocre. You know what I'm saying? I was like, and what do you do with that for a career? You know what I mean? Because I'm not Michael Phelps. And so man, I plugged into graphic design, and that's what I did, man. I loved it, dude. Absolutely loved it. Got a chance to intern at a design firm in Birmingham in between my my junior and senior year. And I think being in that workplace is what really guaranteed, like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Fast forward a little bit, I graduated from Auburn. I got a job at a company in Birmingham, Details Communications. Billy Ivy, one of your former guests, was one of our copywriters, and so he and I both are just young and trying to figure it out. But we both had exceptional bosses. We had a vice president and creative director in Brian Jones, and I had an art director in Mike Robinson. That man, they just really nurtured me and helped me grow. And man, I got to work on some pretty big projects. Oddly enough, if I'm going to say something, put a pin in it because it carries over to today. A lot of our clients were churches, nonprofit organizations, and higher education. So we did a lot of branding for colleges, churches, nonprofit organizations, radio stations, things like that. And so that's kind of where I found my first love for that avenue of doing graphic design. Because I always felt like not everybody, and you've worked in the education system yourself, and it's like not everybody in that space can afford, the same level of graphic design and video work as, say, like Universal Studios. But I mean,
Right.
they're just as relevant and just as important as far as society and community. So I loved it, man. I remember the first time I did a billboard for a talk radio station, like a nonprofit talk radio station, and I was driving in 5920. I was living out in the east side of Birmingham, and was driving into work. And I remember I saw my billboard up there on the side of I-20 59, which is not, it's not really where you want to be, like have wandering eyes, like driving through
Right.
downtown
Right.
Birmingham. And I saw it and I was like, holy crap, there's my billboard. And I was like, oh, I just about wrecked. But it's like with what you do in digital media, like you get to see the final product before it ever launches. But in print media and graphic design, things like that, like we rarely get to see the final product. Like we're just giving the client digital files, but like we rarely get to see like the actual product. So when you get to see it, when you get to drive by a business that you helped create the logo, or something like that, like it's kind of cool, man. It really is. It's for us as graphic designers. So did that for a little while. While I was there, my wife and I went to church at Hunter Street Baptist there in Birmingham, and I started helping out in the youth ministry. And I don't know, man, like my heart just started to change a little bit to where I really wanted to start working in student ministry, but I also love doing graphic design. And so I interned at Hunter Street for a year. I did half the time at the church and then half the time at the graphic design firm working, and then got a chance to come to North Highlands in Hueytown where I met you, the fabulous, infamous, right? More than
Infamous is
famous. You're
probably
infamous. You're more than famous. And
right.
so
Yeah.
Brian Pope. And so you were, I think, a senior in high school, right? When I came.
I think I was, at least a senior, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was still in high school at the time.
Yeah.
And then you and we hit it off pretty quickly. I felt like I don't know if I spotted you and just went after the friendship, or if you just sort of swept me under your wing a little bit.
Funny enough, Ginger and I came just randomly before I had gone on staff. Ginger and I came randomly on a Sunday night just to visit the church. What we didn't know was that everybody at the church was related. And so coming in from outside of Hueytown, they knew we were a guest. We were trying to fly in incognito. And there was this young high schooler who was preaching that service that night by the name of Brian Pope. And you actually preached the sermon that night. And I remember telling Ginger, I was like, dude, this kid is sharp, man. And so, yeah, dude, you told me later, I think it was like 15 minutes long. And that was like everything that you knew compiled into one 15-minute segment.
That's true.
You weren't the public speaker back then. You are now.
No, I was, oh gosh, those were some terrible experiences for the audience. I'm sure. I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of audio recordings from back then. And every time I listen to it, I'm like, what was Brother Doug thinking?
Yeah.
What was Greg thinking?
Yeah.
Randy Norris, what was he thinking?
Right.
Like,
not much. We weren't thinking much, but but no,
just
man.
wanted
So
to
I got a
break.
chance to serve in student ministry for 20 years, I think, total. Some there at North Highlands, and then here in Auburn. And dude, that avenue, like that platform alone, gives you a great way for creativity. I mean, T-shirt designs. I probably averaged about 6 to 8 T-shirts a year for 20 years, plus things for other people. And oddly enough, man, it's kind of funny. Like my goal was to give you guys a T-shirt that didn't end up in the thrift store a week later. Like I want to give you a T-shirt that you like so much, you want to wear it till like it got holes all in it and you had to throw it away. And that's kind of pride, I guess. It's kind of selfish, but like that was that continued to help me build like I guess like my creative outlet. Video promotions. I mean, whenever we had trips or events or whatever, I could do video work for promoting, rules videos, things like that. Lord, I hope you didn't find some of those early videos somewhere.
Unfortunately, Greg, I really didn't find much of anything. I
Yes.
I remember being behind the camera for
Yeah.
you on just
Yeah.
a few occasions. Most of the time, you were shooting all this stuff entirely by yourself.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
that early YouTuber. Like I so wish YouTube would have been more of a thing back then, because I felt like you were groundbreaking in a lot of
Well, I
ways.
appreciate that.
And I think it seems to be a trend with youth ministry in general. Youth
Yeah.
ministry seemed to be a lot of, relatively young youth pastors that were
Yeah.
really pushing the bounds of like early social media marketing kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
I remember going from having an overhead projector, right, in youth ministry. I remember when Randy was there, he would
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
that and
Yeah.
just put these transparency sheets up onto the wall. And
Yeah.
then we got into projection, actual video projectors.
Yeah.
And that's when you just stepped in, and the graphic designs that you were
Yeah.
doing, the videos, like you were willing to put yourself out there, as some of these pictures we'll see
Yeah.
even begin to scratch the surface at. You were willing to make a fool of yourself
Yeah.
to capture the kids' attention. And I
Yeah.
mean, it really was for me eye-opening to see that kind of
Yeah.
creativity in somebody.
Well, I appreciate that. I still vividly remember Xbox had just come out,
Oh
like
yeah.
whenever I was there, and we love playing games like on Wednesday nights and stuff. And so I thought it'd be fun to do this thing called the Game Box or the G Box,
Yeah.
and we would have a box of all these different games, and just on the fly every Wednesday, somebody would come up and draw a piece of paper out of the box, and like that's the game we played that night. Just the mystery, the suspense of it all. And I remember that's kind of when my brain went back into like marketing, and branding, and I mapped out, like I storyboarded like a 6 week, promotional campaign, a UPS box getting mailed to the church and one of y'all opening it and it's like it's coming or something like that. And I just remember like when I first, I mean, I was getting it amped up, man. You talk about like early on, like marketing strategy or whatever. Y'all were so ready, and I remember the first night where we unveiled the G box and we used it. I remember, I think it was you or Josh or David, like one of you came up to me afterwards, Josh Hitton and David Nelson, and you were like, Greg, can I be honest? I was like, oh, of course you can. They were like, I kind of feel like the promo was better than the product. I was like, what? I was so like, it was such a gut punch because I was so excited. But then later
That's
I thought,
funny.
well, crap, I guess I did a pretty good job.
Hey, I'm telling you, the promotion stuff that you did back then
Yeah.
really was incredible.
Well, I appreciate that,
I
man.
mean, I do have one shot. I don't have a
Oh, here
lot
we
of
go.
these, so I do have one that I
Well,
think
that's
is
because the
worth
internet, I think, had
sharing.
just been
That's true,
been
man.
released back
It's
then.
okay. So you
Oh,
you
let's
remember
go.
this?
I do, yeah.
Like
So actually,
you
this
said
was the
earlier.
first Fuel
Well, hang on.
weekend when I was a
Let
youth
me lead
pastor.
in
Oh,
with
go ahead.
this.
Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know exactly
So
when this was. Yeah.
you said that you were the oldest guest that I've ever had.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say that you are the grossest guest that I've ever had, because of stuff like this. This was so gross, and you took it to another level later on. But go ahead, explain what's going on in this picture a little bit, and then I'll explain how you took
Listen,
it to another level if
listen.
you leave that
So
out.
in the scriptures where it talks about Jesus reading a passage in church, and the crowd was so angry they took him outside to kill him. I almost experienced that because Fear Factor was huge with Joe Rogan, right? And I mean
Yeah.
everybody who's anybody was doing, Fear Factor stuff. And so I did a Fear Factor competition with you guys over maybe say like 4 weeks, and we were doing like a
Ugh.
running tally. Now you talk about
Ugh.
I was nasty, but dude, Glenn Reeves like
Oh, I
participated,
agree.
like
I
yeah.
agree.
So
And
like
one.
I may be like the grossest visionary. That dude's like the grossest participant. I mean that guy can like do anything in a positive way.
Definitely.
So I doubt Glenn
Yeah.
watches, but if he does,
Yeah.
shout out to Glenn. So I remember I said whoever wins gets dinner for two anywhere in Birmingham, right? Anywhere in Birmingham gets dinner for two. And we had all these different competitions. And that last one, if I'm not mistaken, that was the not so happy meal, where I got a full
Exactly.
happy meal and I put the fries, the burger, the drink, like put on the blender. I blended it up. I poured it in a cup, bro. I didn't know what I was doing, and I remember when I lifted the lid off the blender, I was like, that smells like vomit. And I was like, even better. I poured it in the cup, and I'm like, it looks like vomit. And dude, Glenn chugged it like it was a Mountain Dew or something, and
I think he
everybody's
froze
going
up on me.
nuts. Oh
Are you
shoot!
still there? Oh, there
Oh,
you
here
are.
I am.
Sorry,
All right.
sorry.
And I poured it, and Glenn chugs it like it's a Mountain Dew. Everybody goes nuts. And I said, all right, Glenn, you win the fear factor of the month. Everybody's cheering for him. And I said, you get dinner for two anywhere in Birmingham. And I reached in, I pulled out 2 Lunchables and 2 drinks. And I said, here's dinner for 2, and you can eat that anywhere in Birmingham. I mean, bro, you talk like I got booed. I mean, like I thought y'all were gonna like riot. And he looked at me. God bless him, man. I'm glad Glenn liked me, man. He looked at me like, I think I'm about to kill you. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, he had just gone through all this stuff. So I felt bad. So I took him to lunch at Bright Star, over there in Bessemer,
Yeah.
as gratitude. But I don't know, man. I just stuff like that, man. It just, yeah, we did all kinds of crazy stuff like that. I
Well,
mean,
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think later on you upped the ante a little bit, because I
probably.
remember at some point somebody had to do this again, but this time they had to drink it out of their friend's shoe. Am
Okay,
I
so
correct?
That was Mountain Shoe, right? Instead of Mountain Dew, Mountain Shoe. Yeah, so same thing. Glenn did it again, right? I mean,
Yeah,
he was
he
the
did.
master. I said, okay, I need 4 people who want to drink an ice cold Mountain Dew out of a can, which is, kind of hard. So 4 people came up, and I said, okay, ready? Because I love to, when the cameras are on and the lights are on, man, it's like a totally different person just comes out. I'm hamming it up. All right, 1, 2. I was like, oh, wait, 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 wait. I was like, this is kind of boring, right? I said, why don't each one of you take off a sock? And so they reached down and take off a sock. There's a guy, James, who played football for the Hueytown Golden Gophers, and he had come from football practice. Bro, his sock was disgusting, right? So he takes his sock off. They slide the sock over the can. They have to chug it through the sock, right? And I'm like, okay, ready, 1, 2. I was like, wait, wait, wait. Let's make this even better. Swap with your neighbor. And so Glenn is standing next to James with that football practice sock on. Glenn's looking. I think that's the only time Glenn ever questioned, like, am I willing to commit or not? And I just remember after that night, I think Cindy O'Brien and my wife both were like, Greg, I think you probably ought to stop. Like, I think you should dial that back a little bit. Like, somebody's
You've
going to get
gone too
sick.
far.
Like, somebody's going to.
Well, well, it was one
So,
of those things. I
yeah.
think with you, it was always unexpected. You just never knew what was around the corner, and it was just genuinely fun. I
Mm,
know when you and I, a lot of times, at one point I was sort of like an intern to you
yeah, for sure.
there at the
Yeah.
church, and
Yeah.
you and I spent more time um, playing ping pong than we did
Killer
than we
Paul.
killer pong
Remember
than
Killer
we
Paul?
did. I do remember that. We did that more so than we did talk about the Bible.
Well, not today. Not
maybe
today.
maybe
Three
not.
knee surgeries, 3 knee surgeries, and no meniscus cartilage. No killer pawn today. But man, so that's the thing, man. Like kind of weaving all that in is that I still like I just love people, and I love investing more in a product. I love investing in people. And so that's the same thing with graphic design. You talked about the CTE, like the career tech classes.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a graphic design teacher here at Auburn High School, and I'm on his advisory board, and I'll go speak to his graphic design club every year because I mean I love encouraging investing in that next generation, of graphic artists and graphic designers and content creators. It's crazy some of the work those 17 and 18-year-olds do, man. You can just go like to Instagram and you can look up like Auburn High School's graphic design club, and they do a lot of the sports, graphics for social media, and these are high schoolers. And I'm
Right.
like, dude, this is better than some like D1 and D2 programs that are out there. Also, too, man, like I'm on staff now currently. I guess we could go back into the journey at some point, but I'm on staff currently at Auburn University in the College of Engineering on their communication marketing team as a graphic designer, and we have two spots for student workers, to work with the creative director and myself. And we get graphic design students because we want to invest, in that next generation that's going out there. So I don't know, man. I've just always loved people, and I've just always loved investing in people, man. And it's kind of like a proud papa watching you do your thing, man. I ain't gonna lie, dude. I try to text you and encourage you, and mention on your stuff. I mean, so like when I was at Lakeview, I came to Lakeview as the youth pastor. I did that for 15, 16 years, I think. And they didn't have anything for media. And so I was getting older, I was like in my, probably early 40s. And which is hard to do some of that crazy stuff,
Right,
in
right.
your early 40s, as you know.
Yeah, yeah,
and
definitely.
and so I was like, I don't know what to do next. I love people, I love crazy stuff, and I love graphic design and content creation. And so Lakeview approached me about starting a new position for media and launching that. And so I did. And they didn't have anything for like web design, social media, Sundays, like the graphics packages that are up at the church, promotional stuff, like none of that. And so that was kind of fun, you know what I mean, to get to do all that. I've also been freelancing, so currently, I guess I work at Auburn University in graphic design. I started that about 2 years ago. Just really struggling. COVID, I feel like I'm all over the place.
You're
COVID
good.
changed a lot of people's um, jobs, and it changed mine to where live stream, digital media. I was more of a sound technician, sound booth technician, IT liaison. More like a mechanics kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's not my background. And I thought, but I'll give it a shot, right? And I just never really enjoyed it, man. But you were clutch, and I'll tell you why, man. If you're watching this at all and you've never seen Brian's stuff on equipment, you're with Shelby County Schools. I messaged you a ton.
Yeah,
And I was like, I needed what you needed. Like, how do you do big product on a small budget? Because both of us work for nonprofit organizations. You know what I'm saying? It's not like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, all the equipment I had was all either, like B&H refurbished or Facebook Marketplace. What I was like, I don't think I bought anything brand new, to be honest with you. I don't even think I could afford a used Sony A7, to be honest with you. And so I'm just trying to, piecemeal this thing together. COVID hit, and every business went remote, and so all of the Black Magic stuff was just gone off the
Yeah,
shelves, and they weren't
yeah.
replacing them. And so we were fortunate. We had a couple guys in our church that kind of had tech background. They helped us Frankenstein a system. And I just remember, like, you were posting stuff like your microphones, what you did for lighting, your travel setup, because the stuff that you did with your superintendent with those director's chairs, where he's like interviewing people in the gym, man. I don't know how you felt about it, but like for somebody like me, like it was clutch, man. And
Yeah.
basically, like anything I bought was the gospel according to Brian Pope. Like if you recommended a Rode mic, I'm on the thing going Rode mic. I even got a sticker that says I love Rode, and I put it on all of my cases. You had me locked in. And so that's another thing too. I think through the years is just like just put stuff out there, because you never know like who's in your situation. And man, I was trying to do, but I was like jack of all trades, master of none, right? I'm
Yeah.
doing social media, I'm doing web, I'm doing in-person content, I'm doing promotional content, on-campus product. I'm shooting these videos. Like our pastor wanted to do weekly videos to send out to church members. And bro, I didn't know what I was doing, man. I did know Adobe software, but that was about it. And so, I can't tell you how many videos I record where the mic check was great, and then somewhere it lost connectivity, and then all I got was, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Do I voice dub this thing over? Calling Brother Al, hey brother, I need you to reshoot that video. Why? Because somewhere my mic shut off and I have no audio.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I
you know?
we've all been in those situations where we realize what's happened to me is I realize I didn't hit record. And then
Oh,
it's like, hey, let's run that through one more time.
yeah,
Just one more time.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
for safety.
That was awesome. Yeah, yeah.
But
I need some B-roll footage. Like, can we go in and do
just
that? Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna
do
get a
that one
different
more
angle
time.
this time. Yeah,
But man, to me it was really cool seeing you step into that space, and then
yeah,
you reaching out to me was just, I mean, a whole new level for me, man.
yeah.
It really meant a lot that you valued what I was doing. You were a huge encourager, and still have been with this podcast and everything. You're
Uh,
always commenting, sharing, liking,
yeah, I
texting me.
appreciate that.
So no,
Yeah,
I appreciate it big time.
me, like I said, I haven't watched all 457 videos episodes, but I've tried to watch as many as I can. Now I will confess, I am pretty busy, so I watch them on 1.5 speed. And I was curious what you would sound like in real time.
Not quite as much of a munchkin, or what are the
The
chipmunks? It was a
chipmunks.
chipmunk.
Yeah, Alvin
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
chipmunks. Yeah,
yeah.
no. You do have some guess. I talk really fast, so if somebody watches at 1.5 speed, they're gonna miss half my stuff. And so,
That's
but
true. Now, I've been super amazed at the people that have agreed to be on this.
yeah,
I mean, it's really been just incredible. But you're
yeah.
one that I was like, I, I want to share who inspired me. That's one of the questions I
Wow,
always
man, I
ask
appreciate that,
people.
man.
Well, you really have.
Yeah,
You were again sort of revolutionary at the time, and then
wow,
to
man.
see like where you started. I mean, even like the professional background that you had already, you went
Yeah,
into youth ministry. I've always said that teaching, and I would probably say youth ministries like this as well. There's just no other career like it, to where you get to
no,
build relationships that transpire that time in your life. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you'll always be my youth pastor, you know, and I'm always going to be some people's teacher,
yeah, for sure.
and that's
Yeah,
just something that no other career really gives you. And so I'm
yeah,
thankful for that time, but I'm thankful for you, man. You set probably more than just me on a path to being, Adobe, interested in Adobe. You also had a lot to do with me becoming a teacher. Just the relational skills that I learned from you, and just sort of that example you set for me in so
oh
many
man, I
cases.
appreciate that, dude. Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Now
I
we.
didn't have it as put together as you felt like, or as you recollect. So, oh god, there's my journey. Hey, that's
Oh
my
yeah.
modeling picture on there. You know,
I,
so.
I I'll tell you what. That top one looks really good. I like the
Listen,
beard, man. I like it.
bro. So when so I grow out a beard in the winter, and when
Yeah.
I have my beard, it's solid white, and so my family calls me either Santa Claus or Papa Smurf, and and I told Ginger, I said, well, you probably like me with a beard because you look like my trophy wife, and I look like the creeper.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I think the beard
So,
looks good. I think you've
well,
done
I
well with it.
appreciate you, man. Yeah, I
All right,
appreciate you.
tell me a little bit of your journey as a graphic designer. Like
Yeah,
specifically, I want to know like where do you look for inspiration? What's your process like whenever you
yeah,
start maybe a logo design, or I think of like
yeah,
some of the T-shirt designs you
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Where do you start originally?
So, man, I'm kind of old school, dude, to be honest with you. So, like, I guess if you were to say, like, what are graphic design has gotten so broad, man. You know what I'm saying? With like apps and, UX and UI and animation,
Right.
and social media. Like, social media didn't exist back in the day when I started. So yeah, my bread and butter is going to be branding, print material, and like t-shirts, kind of stuff. And so yeah, man, and I love it. I love to get to do all that. And so I still have books, man. I should have brought them, man. It's kind of like field notes, I guess, but like my drawer is full of like all these notebooks. And if you're like, hey, Greg, is it Riverlight? Is that your new
Yeah, yeah,
studio?
yeah.
Yeah.
Riverlight
Yeah, so,
Studios.
so Riverlight, man, like I get a notebook and I'm sitting with you. I'm just handwriting, title, hey, what's your goal? What do you have in mind? Like what kind of style, what kind of genre? And I guess because I've been doing it so long, and probably the same thing with you with like a video production, like you've done so much shooting and post production work that like what questions you need to ask on the front end because like how that directs like where your content's going. And so I'm fortunate that, like you say with Riverlight Studios and you want to come in, I'm like, hey, what are you thinking? And you're like, hey, man, I'm going with schools. So I love how they did like the crest and the shield, which
Right.
is really prominent in a lot of schools. Do you want something that's got like a separate icon that can be used as a watermark, maybe on a hat, a t-shirt, something else? Do you want it to just be typography? I love the secondary component with that school banner, on there.
Yeah.
Like that was really
Yeah.
cool. Color schemes, it's like almost, I mean, I'm just jotting in my book. And then I'm just anything that comes to mind. And I know this is a family friendly podcast, but dude, to side note, like some of the most creative things that I come up with are when I'm in the shower. I don't know what it is about this shower that
I was
brings
wondering
out.
where you were going with that.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. And you're like, oh shoot, I'm drinking my tea. And but no, and dude, like my shower wall, like sometimes, no joke, like sometimes like it's steamed up because I take a hot shower, and I'm in there with my finger, and I'm just like sketching stuff on the wall, and then I have to like immediately get out and get my phone and take a picture, so that it's like so that I have it as a reference to
Not a
this.
selfie, right? You're not taking a
No, no,
selfie with.
gosh, no, heck no, no. I think Apple has policies against that. And so,
That's true.
so yeah, so and then in my sketchbook, and dude, it's like I just anything that comes to mind, and then depending on what I'm doing, man, I'll do like a Google search. If it's I may say like uh, you know studio videos and content studios that focus on higher education, right? And I'll just see like some of the other stuff that's out there. Dude, Adobe stock, like having an Adobe Creative Cloud, uh, account, Adobe stock is phenomenal, man. They have all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
on there, and I'm like, dude, we're all collectively working together, right? This creating creators and the network that you have, and so I just bring all that together. And dude, Brian, I'll be honest with you, man. Like full transparency, like as a content creator, rarely does the finished product match what I had in my head initially. And and
Right.
and like I had to get to a place where that didn't own me, right? So like on my desk, I have a little sign that says "Deadline over perfection," because it's like I'll sit there and work with it and live in the weeds for hours, but then like somebody that doesn't know what's in my head will look at it and go, "Dang, that looks really good," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe." And I don't know
Yeah.
if you get that way with video content or imagery that you're doing, but it's like, and so that's me, man. My sketchbooks, man, are just full of stuff, man. They're full of coffee stains, water stains, pencils, scratching out, and then I try to transfer it to the computer, and man, sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it looks great when I sketch it out, but then when I try it digitally, for whatever reason, I can't make it work, and then I just have to go back to it. And so sometimes, dude, it's just a matter of throwing Jello at the wall and just see what sticks. To be honest with you, and sometimes it's a smooth process. I did a branding project this morning. No joke. I talked with them yesterday afternoon, and like within this isn't braggadocious, like within an hour, like it was done. And they were like, "Wow, that was fast." And I was like, "Yeah, you're telling me." Like it just kind of came together. But then like there's another project I'm working on that took me like a couple of months to finally get to like where you know what I'm saying, like where we
Yeah.
were satisfied with it. So man, it's just my brain is just constantly going. The beauty of having a smartphone is I'll see something out in public and I'll stop and snap a picture of it. And that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from. Like I'll see a sign on campus, I'll see a sign across town. My social media, like if you look at all my saves, it's predominantly like stuff that people post, like little things. I'm like, oh, dude, that was cool, and I like hit save, but then I
Yeah.
can't find it later because I'm old. But
I
I'm like, why am I
totally
on my
get that.
messages looking for my saved reels?
Yeah.
But
Do you remember do you remember the logo you did for the youth ministry?
for cross training,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah, for
had
sure,
the like just the
yeah,
person. It looked like
yeah,
a teenager just standing there with their arms out.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
such a great logo, man. There was such
yeah. I
great
appreciate
branding you
that,
did
man.
back then.
Yeah. I still remember most of my work, unfortunately. I can't remember what my wife asked me to do this morning, but I guess I'm so self-induced, I remember most of my work. Yeah. I've had a chance
I
to work
really
on
do
some
wish
really
we
cool
had. Go ahead.
branding
Sorry.
projects. No, I just had a chance to work on some really cool branding projects through the years that, like Tumor's Corner, like
Yeah.
Tumor's Drugs at Tumor's Corner here in Auburn. I got to work on one of their branding, like back in the 90s, and they still use it. Now it's to me, it's crazy dated. I look at it and I go, oh my gosh, like why are you still using that? But I guess it's retro now. Everybody likes
Right.
throwback.
That's true.
And somebody came in my office the other day with a Tumor's Drugs bag, and it had the logo on the side. It's kind of cool, man. I'm like, dude, like I did that logo. You want me to sign your bag? No, I didn't make it weird. I didn't ask them that, but yeah, no,
You
I do
just
still
signed it
remember
when
that.
their back was turned.
I did. Hey, you just put that here on my desk if you
Yeah.
want. And I just signed it. And then when they left, they're like, "What in the Sam Hill? What's on my bag?"
That's
So
funny.
no, it's
Well,
pretty cool, man. It is pretty neat.
how much did youth ministry impact you creatively?
A lot, man, because like to be honest with you, especially like now that some of the content that we're doing is integrated into social media. Being a youth pastor, like I'm constantly around teenagers, and so I'm just engulfed in their world. I'm engulfed in their world. I'm like I want to look and say like, hey, like what T-shirt are they wearing? That looks pretty cool. That I want to try to put a design style in. Websites. I mean, that's kind of back before UX UI, but like nowadays, I would think like app development, web development, things like that. and just being around a younger generation, man, like seeing the things that they see and the stuff that they know, it's kind of cool, man. Because I really feel like most teenagers, and you're parenting teenagers now. I'm almost out of that. My youngest just turned 18.
Yeah.
So like parenting teenagers, you're just around it all the time. You see it. We'll watch videos together. My daughter and I don't know what it is, man, but some of these little AI generated animals where they're like smiling and doing like little heart things on me, and I just blow up her Instagram with that stuff all the time. So she probably gets tired of it. She's gracious, she hasn't told me, but yeah, just being around a younger, just energetic, creative community just all the time, it just fed me always wanting to do like some of those crazy videos that you're talking about, and some of the crazy content also too, man. Like usually, at least in vocational ministry, usually your youth ministry is one of your most creative ministries in the church. And so graphically, like there was stuff that I could do as a youth pastor that like it wouldn't really translate into the Sunday service and what I call big church,
Right.
where adults are in the room, right? And so they kind of like a little bit more traditional kind of elements. And so it's fun, man. It really is for sure.
What about the transfer from going from youth ministry to like the business space again? I mean, now you're at
Yeah,
the School of
yeah,
Engineering.
yeah.
Do you feel like you can translate a lot of those like similar styles to now
Yeah, not
professional?
even a little bit. No. So a couple of things. Number one, I've had a chance to work at a graphic design firm. I've done freelance. I've been the sole creative person, like when I was at Lakeview, which is hard. I can't remember if you had other people on your creative team when you were at Shelby County Schools, but
I had
like,
one other person a couple of years
yeah,
into it. Yeah.
it, sometimes it's hard when you're like the only one. It's like, who do you
Right.
get feedback from? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so now, like, I'm on a creative team, but like I tell people all the time, like I've probably grown the most creatively in the past 2 years than I think I have in any other span that short in my graphic design career, because engineering by nature is not a creative content. And so we're challenged to take a content and to take a group of people. Now, my son's a software engineer, so I'm not bashing him. I think Casey is too, right?
Right. He is,
Yeah,
well, civil engineer.
yeah, yeah. So the thing is, like, you're taking a content and you're taking a group of people that by nature aren't traditionally creative, right? And trying to do creative work for them. You're trying to promote their work. You're trying to give them creative identities. And dude, that could be really challenging. And so instead of me just being like, "Oh, forget it, man, you stink," or whatever, and just giving them like a mediocre product, I'm like, no, like I still want to give them a product that they go like, "Dang, like that looks good." Like,
Yeah.
who gets a brochure about asphalt and goes, "Dang, that brochure is legit."
Is that the kind of work you're doing now? Is
Oh yeah, for
promoting
sure. Yeah,
asphalt?
our asphalt
Nice.
technology is top notch, man.
Are you doing animations? Because I see on their YouTube
Yeah.
channel, like I see a lot of
Yeah, dude,
animation
I
stuff.
wish, I wish. So we are the largest. So the university has its own like main OCM, like Office of Communication Marketing. The
Right.
larger colleges have a smaller like subgroup, if you will. But we're the largest. We have about 11 or 12 people. Our fearless leader, believe it or not, my director is none other than Hueytown's own Austin Phillips. He
I
is
saw
yeah.
pictures with
He told me to
him.
tell you,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, yeah. So there are two of us graphic designers. So I have a creative director, Danny Dole, and myself, and then we have two video producers, Marcus Klutz and John Sluice. And a lot of times, Danny and I do the creative elements, and then we hand it over to John and Marcus, and they animate it. I've never been able to learn After Effects at the
Mm,
level to do it effectively, and they are After Effects wizards. And
yeah.
so, yeah. But we collaborate a lot, and it's a team of four. If we call ourselves the creative team, two graphic designers, two video producers. And dude, it's like we mesh really really well together. We really do. It's probably one of the best creative teams I've ever had a chance to be involved in, to be a part of. Yeah.
I've definitely learned. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, I was a solo guy for so many
Yeah.
years. I mean, really in the classroom to some degree. I mean, I had
Hmm.
students that I was working with, but ultimately I was sort of the one determining the direction at times, and then obviously the signing off. And in the educational space, it's easy to impress.
Yeah.
Like the bar has always been pretty low, I felt like.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
then I stepped into the district level. I was all by myself. Everyone was saying it was great. I look back at some of those first videos; they were terrible. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I was doing like 16-point lighting because I turned off everything and brought in all these little tiny lights and everything. It was terrible. The background looked
Yeah.
wrinkled and
Yeah.
the white balance was all off.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was one of those things that I learned through that process, and then now starting my own company, I've learned you don't have to be the expert of everything. You don't have to be a
Right.
jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You can specialize in what you do, and then you collaborate with people. You bring in other people that have those skills that offset your skills, or
Yeah.
complement your
Yeah, for
skills.
sure.
And
For
that's what
sure.
this recently I had a chance to work with Billy Ivy and
Yeah.
with Alex Kiker on this shoot that we ended up going to San Diego for. It was great.
Oh man, yeah.
And just being able to see the two of them do what
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
strengths are, and then me be able to just focus in on what I know I can do. It was
Right.
great. It was great. So I
Yeah,
totally
and
get
that's
it.
the thing too, man. Like if you look at the Adobe Creative Cloud suite, like I'm not pro level, but like InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, like I feel like I could hold my own against most people. I mean, I'm not teaching a breakout session at Adobe
Right.
Max, but like,
Yet.
yeah, well, yeah, never got desperate enough yet, but like I do know enough that like I'm able to help another generation that's working on figuring that out. I know how to do Premiere Pro and Adobe Audition to edit, to edit a handful of things like we did at Lakeview. I mean, I was doing post production on 4 videos a week, with all of our services, announcement videos, like all of that kind of stuff, baptism videos, testimony videos. But even then, it was like, I mean, it was good for me, but it wasn't anything compared to like the stuff that you put out there, like not even close. And so when I came here and John and Marcus, I thought I was could peacock around like, oh, look at me, I know how to open Premiere Pro, and
Right.
I know how to export the audio into Adobe Audition and hit save and let it renew automatically. Like I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And John and Marcus are like, and I'm just like, and so yeah, dude, it's really cool. And but just the college is the largest college here at Auburn. We have 9 different departments. The College of Engineering is just huge, and so the amount of work is really, really, it's a lot, man. I mean, it's the most workflow I've ever had like in my life, and so it's kind of forced me to be efficient in those programs, and so that's why I'm constantly like learning like new tips and tricks. My creative director and he and I both have, like you're talking about, different skill sets.
Yeah.
Like he knows publication tricks in InDesign that he's constantly teaching me, and I know more tricks in Illustrator just because of like branding and T-shirt designs and things like that. And so we're constantly just going back and forth, and I love it, man. It's great, man. I really do enjoy the challenge of how do you make 100-page student planner for the College of Engineering look appealing that a college student wants to pick it up off a table and actually use it.
Right. Yeah. Tell me
You,
this,
you know,
do you still use the pen tool, or do you use all these other tools that are available now? Has the new AI enhancements or anything like that really made your process easier, or do you still resort
um,
back to like the old school way of doing it because you've just perfected that?
dude, that's a great question, and the answer is yes. So, in a sense, that it depends on, like, I'm constantly trying to grow and evolve, because I know that, like, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, right? You told him how to waste a lifetime. But no, but seriously, but like if you, it's like in the here and now. It depends on if I'm playing chess or checkers, right? And what I mean by that is checkers, you live like in this move, right? At chess, you're playing like 10 moves ahead. So some of these new things that come out, it's like I know that in the long run, if I start using them and I get proficient with them and I start implementing them, like in the long run, it's going to pay off. But right now, I don't have the time because my
Yeah.
deadline is too close. And so I'm going to stick with what I know the best because it can help me get this project finished the fastest. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but no, I mean, some of the generative tools are really, really great. And so, I mean, so yeah, so like the image trace in Adobe Illustrator is It's 1,000 times better than it used to be. But it's because I do the front end work. Like if I'm trying to redraw something, I do the front end work and I make that as crisp and clean as I can in either Photoshop or Lightroom to give me the cleanest, crispest image that I can. Bring that into Illustrator, let it do the image trace, and then I do, I clean it up from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't work right, and sometimes I got to go back to my drawing skills and my anchor points, and where you put your anchor points and how you draw your lines are huge. It really is, and so I try to keep them both. I want the efficiency of the new tools, but at the same time, man, I don't want to lose my foundational. I mean, I took a whole semester in each one of those programs, and I just built a base that I don't know that the next generation of designers are taking that time. You know what I'm
Oh, I
saying?
agree. I agree. I think, I mean, the pen tool alone is one of those things that, I mean, it's across Adobe in general. And if
Yeah,
you know how to
yeah,
use that well, it's going to
yeah,
aid you in video editing. It's going to aid you in
yeah,
photography. It's going to
yeah,
aid you in graphic design.
yeah.
And
I mean,
so
how do you
many
draw a path
people,
in After Effects without knowing how to use the pen tool?
right, right. But a lot
you
of
know?
people don't know how to do that because they've
No,
resorted to these other
right.
easier things. Have you
Yeah.
ever seen the Bezier game?
No.
So
Do tell.
it's an actual game on, like, you just Google search it, Bezier
Okay.
game,
Yeah.
it teaches you to use the pen tool. I used to put my students on that all the time
No
whenever we
way.
started Illustrator, and it'll give you like the shape of a car, and it teaches
Yeah.
you how to, like, you know, click and hold to stretch out the
Oh yeah.
handles, and
Yeah.
then like option and then tweak one of the handles where
Oh
you're
yeah.
independently operating
Yeah.
them. It was a great tool in just
Oh yeah.
a neat way. Every time I did it, I thought, Greg probably didn't have to do this stinking game to learn how to do this.
No, I did. So yeah, well, of course, back then it was all just freehand. See, I worked on all the programs before Adobe like put theirs out. So there was
Man,
Quark
you really
Express
are
before.
old.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, bro. Uh, dude, that's what my field notes were: papyrus tablets and quill pens. They probably still are at times,
You're just
but
out there
um,
chiseling it
just
into the
chiseling in
stone.
stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's my pen tool. But no, like he would give us an image, right? Let's say like your microphone that you're using,
Yeah.
and we would have to redraw it, and we would have to come in for critique and have like the image and then nothing but our line art next to it. And man, when you do nothing but line art, like black line on a white paper, it's like a flat ceiling in a house. There's no texture to cover it up. Like every anchor point that isn't crisp and clean, like you see it when it comes around and has a little dip, because you let your anchor ports flare out
Right.
too wide.
Yeah.
I mean, like it'll show. And bro, I'd walk in there, my butt cheeks drawn tight, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. So
That
yeah, man,
sounds
like they kind of put it through us. So
Yeah, that sounds terrible to have that level of criticism. So, all right. Well, listen, I want to congratulate you on your beautiful family, man. You and
yeah, thanks,
Ginger
man.
are incredible. I mean, just the influence y'all have had on us. I remember when
Yeah,
Micah was born,
I know,
and
right? He's married now, dog.
I know I saw that. Congratulations on that as well. But
Yeah, thanks, man.
seriously, y'all have a beautiful family,
I
and
appreciate you,
just the
man.
legacy that you and Ginger have set for your kids, for them to
Yeah,
look back on. I'm thankful. Even the legacy that you set for me. Jennifer and I have been married now. Was it 22 years?
bro, it's
Oh
been that
gosh,
long.
dude, it's been a long time.
Yeah,
Maybe,
man, that's
yeah,
awesome.
21 years, 21 years. So, but
Yeah,
I mean, it started with people like you that showed us, what it's like to, first of all, even date. And then in addition to that,
yeah,
how marriage should go. And so
yeah. I
it's
try
been
to
really
help you
neat watching
understand
y'all.
why it's better to marry somebody older too.
Jennifer has been, I always tell people all the time, like as a 16-year-old boy, I had
Yeah,
no idea what I was looking for, what I
yeah,
needed. I just
yeah.
knew
She didn't either.
the short one was the cutest. That's what I
Yeah.
knew.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what I thought she was the prettiest. And so,
Oh yeah. No,
and
I
it's
got you.
it's worked out
Listen,
ever since.
I tell people all the time, like Ginger's my cougar, and she never laughs, and so
What's the age difference between y'all? Like,
it's just a year.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Jennifer and
yeah,
I are right just under a year. There's 2
yeah.
weeks we're the same age.
Yeah, I think maybe a month. I think we might be like 11 months or something.
Yeah.
And then Micah and his wife, she's older. And
Yeah.
so I guess I set that precedent. I don't know, but
It's just
anyway,
how
but
mature
no, I
we
appreciate
were,
it, man.
right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But it is kind of cool though. So like going back to like family and stuff. Like are any of your kids creative? Like artistic or creative at all?
I've got well, one Taylor, one of the twins. She
Yeah,
says that she like does some photography, but
yeah.
usually what it is she borrows my camera and then tells me, "Can you set it?" So, but she does. She's got a good eye for it. I mean, I
Yeah,
see like really in
yeah,
the
for sure.
edit, I see more so.
Yeah,
And so far that she's been the one that has shown the most interest.
yeah,
I always wanted one to take up video. I've tried to get them to go with me. I'm like, hey, I
yeah,
will pay
yeah,
you better
yeah,
than any like
yeah. Right,
part-time job's going to pay you. I'll
right.
pay you to go work with me. And so
Yeah,
far nobody's shown up.
yeah. I got you. Well, I was just going to say it is cool, man. Like my daughter Caroline, so she's wrapped up her second year here at Auburn, and she does like all these butcher paper banners that people do. So she on Instagram, Caroline's
Yeah.
banners,
Yeah.
and it's just cool to see that artistic flair, that's there. And so yeah, it is cool to see like as you're parenting your kids and your kids are getting in this age now, it's like part of my goal is not to make like mini me's, but to see like how God designed them and how He created them, and then just put them in avenues to begin to grow and develop those areas, and then flourish and thrive. So yeah, having adult age kids, man, it's really cool to watch them, find out like how God created them and use those things out there. But yeah, no, it's the same way. My son's a software engineer. And so, I mean, the only thing we collaborate on is he helps me fix my laptop and my phone when I need help.
That sounds about right. That
Yeah,
sounds about right.
yeah, no, but it's good. But yeah.
All right. Well, I talked about it earlier, and so
Oh my
this is
gosh.
this is the kind of. By the way, I think this was Glenn or Jordan Reeves, one of them that was videoing this. But there you are,
Oh my
man.
gosh. Look
Look
at
at the
that,
youth
dude.
in your eyes, which you can't see your eyes because
I
this is
mean,
lower than standard definition. This is
no,
like
but just the
low
fact that my hair
definition.
matches the suit. I'd have to dress like Colonel Sanders right now for my hair to match my suit. So,
That would be nice. White. I like that. So, but this is it,
yeah,
man. This is where you started my family. So thank you for
that's
that.
awesome, man.
Seriously, it was
Yeah,
we look back on this video
yeah.
very fondly. I'm thankful
Uh,
for the low quality of video footage because it allows us to step back into that day. So
well, I know you cropped that because that junk was 4:3 on a camcorder back then, bro. Ain't no 16:9 back then.
I recorded it through my Black Magic
Yeah,
the
yeah, you
Atom. So
did.
yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely cropped it. So
you had
I
that eight
filled the
millimeter
frame.
tape going, didn't you?
Do what?
You had your 8 millimeter tape you had to pop in and
Oh gosh,
and
what it
record.
is? It is an 8 millimeter tape. That's what it
I
is.
tell
Yeah,
Yeah, so you talk equipment with people. You can't talk equipment with me because the equipment I use isn't available anymore.
that's true. Hey, that's the other thing. Like how did you even go about digitizing stuff back then?
I
Did
don't
you
know.
have a
Oh well.
digital recorder? I guess you
Okay.
had to
So
have.
hey, you'll appreciate this. All right. I know we're running out of time, maybe, but so the
No, I'm
Chili
good.
Bowl. I don't know if you remember the Chili Bowl. The Chili Bowl is still alive and well. So we played a flag football game on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, yeah.
And we played it at the new property. North Highlands hadn't built their building yet at the
Right.
new property, right where the new high school is. We played a flag football game. I videoed it with commentating, okay, like in-game commentating and video. And so I'm commentating and videoing at the same time. And then I edited it. And then we came back like the following week, and everybody brought chili, and we ate chili and we watched the game film. And that was the Chili Bowl, right? Bro, I edited that junk on the spot. So I'm videoing and getting all these angles, and then I would look at the frame really fast. And if I didn't like it, I would delete it. And then the next frame would just pick up. So I'm shooting, commentating, and editing on the spot.
Yeah.
And then when we showed up for dinner, I basically just plugged that thing with RCA jacks into the projector and just let it ride. Well, you talk about one man band, bro.
Hey,
It's crazy to think
I've
about
got let's see,
the
where's it at?
energy.
Yeah, I've got I don't you can't really see it up there,
Okay.
but I've got an old film camera up there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
basically, I mean, in order to edit, I mean, you have to
yeah,
digitize it if you want to edit
yeah,
it, but mine's basically just like each cut is when you
yeah.
pressed record again,
Yeah,
you know?
that's
So,
it. That
yeah.
that was it, man. That was it, dude. And I was looking at the timer too because I'm like, I knew I want to stay in a 30-minute window, that kind of thing. Same thing with artwork, like logos. Like we would draw it, and it basically was a copying machine scanner that would give us the file, and then you'd put that on a template layer in freehand or Illustrator, and then redraw. They didn't have Live Trace back then, and so you had to redraw everything.
I
And
don't think any of my audience is going to even understand the words coming out of your mouth right now. All right, we need to talk about this, man.
Oh my God!
What do you think about those? These are the only pictures I could find of us together.
I mean, you know what's funny? You want? I still remember that shirt. Do you remember
Oh
what we
yeah.
did? We did royal blue color sequence with lime green and white for the boys, and then we did lime green T-shirts with white and royal blue color sequence for the girls, so that in the group photo it had a color pop.
It was
Why do
so
I remember
neat.
that, Brian Pope? I can't remember my son's. Wait, I can't remember my son's cell phone number. No joke, but I can remember what my stupid T-shirt theory was 30 years ago.
Well, it's so funny because like this was the group. This was when we brought together multiple youth groups, and I say we. This was you. I think Alan Drew, Blake Lindsay. There may have been somebody else. Well, I mean, obviously Pettis was there.
And Alan, do you remember Alan Drew? Mark Pettis was Alan Drew's college intern, who's now the pastor of Church of the Highlands.
Right. Yeah.
So I look across the board, and I'm like the only one that hasn't made it in life out of that group.
Yeah, it's well, you and I think this picture on the left may be a reason as to why you haven't.
I mean, listen, I tell people all the time, if social media was around when I was a teenager, I never would have made it as in ministry, probably or any vocation.
Just for the record, my youth pastor and I never did kiss. This was just a pose for the picture.
On camera.
Yeah, I mean, now I wish I had the picture without Mark Pettis in there. I thought about removing him using. It's our one. I know that's exactly what he would be like. That's funny.
Dude, there was something else. You may remember too, man. Like just the story behind it, but like, in that community, there was just a lot of history, but between those churches, between Alan, Randy, myself, and we all loved each other, man. And we were like, dude, we gotta overcome this, and it's still happening today. And man, I love the network, man. Even here at the university, there's so many people that like they want to work in a silo. They want to keep their content to themselves. They want to they don't want to share anything, and that's where I love like what you're doing with creating creators is like occupationally, all the people you have on your podcast, on your show, they're all competing for business. But at the same time, they're all collaborating together. And I haven't made any of your meetups yet, because that's what a true testimony of creating creators. Like we're just all in this together, man. And look how much fun we had and the memories we made by crossing those fences and coming together and collaborating. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just super cool, man. I love it. I love it.
Well, it was neat to see because I think you had a lot to do with bringing those groups together. I think you were one of those that, I mean, a lot of these guys, like you said, there was history already there, a lot of good history, a lot of maybe mixed history. But you were able to bring together these groups, and your magnetic personality drew people like Alan and Blake, as well as Mark to you. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious even in this podcast, sort of why you were as successful as you were in drawing people to you and drawing youth to you, especially, man.
My creative team calls me their Ted Lasso.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. I take it
as a compliment. I don't know if they mean it as a compliment, but I take it as that. So, yeah, man.
All right. Tell me about your biggest challenge, man, besides this middle picture, okay?
In that middle picture, that was my biggest challenge. That was when I realized that was when I was the heaviest. And I was like, Marcus, our video producer, had his camera out, and I said, "Hey, Marcus, this shirt made me look fat." And he snapped a picture, and then he sent it to me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it does."
Yeah, I've always said that kind of stuff about those clothes, but then I put shirt on, and it's still the same way. So I found I can't blame the shirt too often.
Well, I can say though, I've lost 15 pounds since that picture because of that picture. So I
think I found it if you need it back. So you let me know.
I'm good. I'm good, man. No, it'll be back. Don't worry. It's like a boomerang. My biggest challenge, dude, there's several. I mean, I'm 50, dude. Like, so one of the challenges I have is, how do I say this? a younger generation, and I was the same way. So like when we're working with a younger generation of designers, oftentimes they'll automatically discredit me because of my age. You know what I'm saying? It's like this guy doesn't even know
It's
how
the
to work
gray
his phone.
hair.
What? Yeah, I know. Uh, what's this guy going to teach me about design? You know what I'm saying? Like, did he even use a computer? You know what I mean? And I was like that when I was 20, right? I was arrogant.
Right.
And so like that's one of my biggest challenges is just to be like, hey, no, man, like listen to an older generation, man, because like they've walked through some history that you haven't walked through. How to handle clients, how
Right.
to, what are those front end questions on a project to ask. How do you? I mean, like as a freelancer, one of the biggest struggles I've always had is like how do I budget a project and how do I manage my time? Like, if somebody says, hey, well, I need this in 2 weeks, early on, I'm like, do I even know if 2 weeks is feasible or not? And now
Right.
it's like I can say like, no, that'll take me 2 days, or I can say like, no, that'll take me 2 months. What you're asking, and so I think my age, where I feel like it gives me, um, a lot to lean on as a designer. Sometimes the challenge is finding a way to help a younger generation move past some of that. Another challenge is technology. Gosh, the pace at which technology and software and everything, it's growing so much. You know what I mean? Think about those restaurants that like zero in and focus in on something and they do really good, like Chick-fil-A. They expand, they change their menu a little bit, but at the end of the day, like you're not getting burgers at Chick-fil-A. You're
Right.
not getting
Right.
barbecue at Chick-fil-A, right? And so I feel like I'm more of a specialist now. The problem is my specialty is gradually declining, and that is print media.
Yeah.
There's a place for print media, but it's I don't know anything about UX or UI. Trying to design a website, an app, things like that. Like I know what looks good, but it's like trying to get there. So many places, especially here on campus, they want somebody who is a jack of all trades. I'm friends with Jared Long, who works with our College of Education, and he's the creative team. So he has to know how to do photography, videography, graphic design, social media, website. Basically, we have 6 people on our team that he has to do by himself, and you're probably like that at Shelby County. And it's like that can be a real challenge, like as stuff expands. Like I didn't learn animation in college, so I have to teach myself. And so that's probably it. Staying relevant, staying humble, and then just continuing to grow as the industry grows. Even Adobe, good grief, I feel like they have an update. Like I had to tell my computer like stop automatically updating my apps, because I would sit down to work and it was like, hey, we're updating 8 apps and it'll be come back in 2 hours, and I'm like, no, I need to work now. like
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I'm trying to grow with the industry. Does that make sense? at, at,
Yeah.
at the pace of the industry, and sometimes that can be a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's certain characteristics or certain principles that transcend time,
Yeah,
and I
for
would
sure.
imagine,
Yeah.
your experience has sort of helped you, sort of hone in on those, like what those specific
Right.
things are. There's always those sort of gimmicky things that people lean on, whether it's
Yeah.
in some type of video
Yeah.
editing or graphic design,
Right.
logo design.
Right.
But there are always those true principles. Is there one specific true principle that you feel like you've sort of noticed and that you've clung to?
um yeah, so as a content creator, all these other things like Canva, Adobe Express, people get Lightroom on their phone, okay?
Right.
But that doesn't make you a photographer, because of what you were talking about, right? Like people may not necessarily, like, you could set your camera to like auto settings, and it's probably, the camera's so good now, it's probably going to give you a good product
Right.
visually. But there's more to it as far as like framing the picture. What's your light source? You see what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
like you can't find that in a setting of a camera. And design's the same way. When you see something, you can tell, like, dude, that just doesn't look right. And so layout, and ebb and flow are something that, regardless of technology, regardless of program, like those things are foundational that you got to stick with. Just layout principles, proportion principles, things like that just need to be there. And I think you see it, Brian. Like you I mean, you have a creative eye. So, but you could see something, you can go, dang, that looks pretty good, but you may not be able to put your finger on why. But then you can also see something else and go, that looks kind of cheesy. You may not be able to put your finger on it, but you can tell why. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that answers your question, but like, no matter how much technology changes, no matter how much equipment changes, no matter how much software changes, there's still some foundational principles like layout, proportion, eye movement. Like where are you wanting the eye to go? You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And some of that could just be as simple as like turning a profile picture another way, because your imagery is telling me to look right to left, and your words are telling me to look left to right, and I'm like, I don't know which way I'm supposed to look on this. Just take that out, kind of just go like that, and then all of a sudden I'm reading naturally left to right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Um, that's the
I've,
kind of stuff I like to do, and that's what I tell my graphic design club is like, hey, like now that there's all this technology out there, like AI, like Canva, like Adobe Express, like you've got to learn something that you can present to somebody to say like, hey, you can't do this on your own, and this is where I come in, you know,
yeah.
and it stretches you creatively in a good way.
How often do you use the Fibonacci sequence or the golden ratio?
So, not as much as I should.
That's
I'm
always
trying
one
to
of those
learn.
things. Go ahead.
I'm
What?
trying to learn the golden ratio. I don't get it.
Hey, the little conch shell. I
Yeah,
think you've got
yeah,
some cameras now you can overlay that,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
get it a little bit, but I
yeah,
see some people that just really know how to get a beautiful image.
yeah. But
I
I
don't
do
know
work
that
off
I'm
of
that
a grid.
person.
I do
Say
work
that.
off a grid. I am what they call CDO, which is OCD in alphabetical order, and so I do consider myself what I call it corporate creative, meaning like I am a creative, but I enjoy, putting on a collared shirt and dress slacks and going to an office. I'm one of those weirdos like that. And so,
Yeah.
so I do work off a grid, just kind of like in photography and video, the law of thirds. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like splitting your frame in thirds and things like that. So no, as soon as I start with a publication, I mean, it's automatically like I'm chopping that sucker up into grids, and then I'm working within that grid. So it's basically an adaptation, I guess, of the golden ratio. And then the same thing, prime numbers within logo. Whatever is my text or my icon. Like figure out, say if that's 5 line heights, then go like 1 line height in between, 3 line heights for things. That kind of thing. So that's probably why I work good in engineering.
Well, I would
Kind of a
imagine
nerd.
those kind of things. You're still applying the principle, but you've
Yeah.
over time developed ways to apply the same principle without having to, you know, think through it every single time. You've got
Right.
these sort of simplified applications.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
So
it's
tell
kind of like
me.
anything you do, like cooking, right? You learn the efficiency, and you know the order of what you need and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So
Oh
tell me
gosh.
what's next for you, man.
Retirement.
Look, you see this baby in this bottom picture down
Dude,
here?
listen, that's my senior picture right there, man. Yeah,
The
dude, for sure.
strobe was awful. Who lit
Um,
that? Like you have a
well,
shadow going over half your
no,
body.
that's a picture of a picture. That's
Oh,
like
okay. I got you.
that's like in my mom's scrapbook, and I've got
Okay.
like my flip phone. That may have been shot on a Motorola Razor or something. Uh, you know what I mean? Like the picture of the picture. Yeah,
Yeah.
that shadow on that bottom corner is probably the shadow of the corner of my phone.
Okay.
To be
That makes
honest with you,
sense
over the
then.
picture.
That would have been awesome if the strobe had been like that. So, and then what about this one up at the top with your suns out, guns out, literally
Yeah,
in
so
two different ways?
every year when I was a youth pastor, we did a back to school bash. It was the first Wednesday night kickoff of the school year, and we did a theme night, and that was country western night. And so, born and raised in Alabama, we don't have sleeves when we go country rodeo. We barely have
There,
shirts, to be honest with you.
I scrolled through a lot of your Facebook pictures
Yeah,
and I saw a
yeah,
lot of pickle night. So pickle night
yeah.
was still alive and strong when you were in
It,
youth ministry.
Dude, a pickle night and chili bowl. That actually, our youth pastor who followed me still does chili bowl. He didn't continue pickle night,
Oh,
but
gosh.
pickle night had a 20-year run. Yeah,
For those that are listening or watching, just imagine games involving pickles, as many as
yeah,
you can think of and as gross
yeah,
as you can think of, probably.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It,
yeah.
it it definitely smelled like pickle juice at the end of the night. There's no doubt
And
about it,
I've never been a fan of pickles, so it was really gross. My daughters would have loved it because they love pickles, but it was gross. It was
Yeah,
gross.
yeah. My youngest son, he'll eat a bowl of pickles as a side item, like at Chick Fil
Oh,
A.
No.
And so he was really bummed that I retired from student ministry before he got there. And so he just keeps like, Dad, you got to tell Aaron to bring pickle night back. And I'm like, that's Aaron's call, man. It's not my call.
That's funny.
It
All
was
right.
great.
So
Yeah, man.
retirement, is that soon in
No,
your
I'm just kidding.
future?
What's next? Dude, I don't know what's next, man. Like my career path has really, man, has gone a lot of different places. Only two things that have stayed steady is my love for student ministry and my love for like graphic design and media. And so they just kind of interweave like this. And so I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. Like I really, really enjoy what I do. I know it sounds egotistical. I don't mean it to be, but I also enjoy like creatively directing a team of people,
Yeah.
so like the investment that we get to do with a younger generation and a team of young designers, like, if an opportunity arose for a creative director position, like something like that would probably be, appealing. But man, the team I'm on now, like it's second to none. The environment I'm in creatively, the team I'm on, we go to Adobe Max every year. Last year was in Miami, 2 years ago was LA, back in LA this year. And I love it, man. I really do. So what's next? It's going to involve some type of student ministry and some type of graphic design. That's for sure. And I do freelance work as well in my
Nice.
spare time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
All
got
right.
two
So
buddies of mine.
you're still
Yeah.
involved with the
So
youth ministry?
yeah, well, it's a college now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and youth some. I'll be chaperoning 2 trips this summer. Going while my son he's finishing up his junior year.
All
So
right. You remember, were you on the trip? Maybe it may have been before you. This may have been Randy, but Jason Beam one year, we got to Laguna Beach retreat,
yeah,
and he walks into his room just as two kids are sword fighting with a plunger.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
the kid
yeah,
whips the plunger and out comes
yeah,
stuff that was in the
yeah,
plunger. Was that your
yeah,
youth trip?
yeah. I think he took it like side of the face, neck, shoulder area. Yeah, yeah. I
But
got it. I had I'm trying to remember who it was. I feel like Jonathan might have been one of them.
Jonathan
But
Reeves?
yeah, but I'm not going to call
No,
him
no,
out.
I don't. No,
No,
I don't think it
no.
was Jonathan Reeves. I think it was because I think we were already in high school, and I think this was middle school boys that were doing it
Okay.
at the time.
Okay. So, all right.
But
So, yeah, Jonathan's like, why are you calling me out, man? That wasn't me. But no, I very remember because I remember Jason came to me, and listen, if anybody listen, if you don't know Jason, like Jason is like you talk about cool as the other side of the pillow. Like I
yeah,
only saw Jason upset and angry like maybe once.
right.
I mean, dude's like the most low key, chilled, easygoing
Yeah,
guy, and I
yeah,
mean, like
great guy,
like
great
he
guy.
visibly was ready to let somebody meet their maker when he walked out and I walked in. I was like, "You good?" He's like, "Nope, I need a minute." And I said, "Okay." I walked in. I was like, "What's going on?" And dude, those guys were scared to death. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
they really thought they
I,
were about to get murdered.
I
So
don't
yeah,
think anyone actually expected that to come out of the
no,
plunger.
no, they didn't. They didn't. Nor did Jason.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then what the
It was a
reason I
trip.
bring that
Yeah,
up is he still goes on trips with the
yeah,
youth group at the church
yeah.
I
I've
go
never
to, and
had crap
still
slung in my face.
subjects himself to being like
Yeah,
a middle school host home at times
yeah,
for D now. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Jason, why are you doing this to yourself? So,
I really wanted Aaron to build his ministry because I had been the youth pastor there for so long.
yeah,
I kind of withdrew myself for a while. And so I moved to college. And so I work predominantly with our college ministry, but he still lets me come in there from time to time and teach and chaperone on the trips. It kind of gives him I supervised the sound booth for 6 years when I was at Lakeview. So I can help him, you know what I mean? Like load his
yeah.
slides, load his graphics, like do all that kind of stuff. But it's fun, man. I'll get out there and do the ropes courses with all the kids, man. And paintball. I mean, it's just slip and slide, you name it, man.
Mm.
They fat shamed me last year though. Their water slide, they put a weight limit of 200 pounds on it, and I was like, bro, are you kidding me? I had to come to church camp to get fat shamed at the water slide because I weigh 220. I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, yeah. They're
I'm
not
still young
nice
at
to us
heart, man.
big guys.
Still immature as the day is long.
I believe that. I believe that. All right, last question here.
Dude.
Who inspires you? Who? I think you need to bring back this haircut, man.
Okay, so oh man, the top one, let me tell you something. I freaked some kids out with that. So our back to school bash that year was senior adult living. So like everybody come dressed as a grandparent, and I shaved my head bald and I
I,
left the horseshoe.
I see that. I
And
call that a
now
tree skirt.
you may disagree, but like I was like, hey, my hair grows really fast. If I shave it off, it'll grow back.
Yeah.
And all my friends are like, it doesn't always grow back, right? But so they thought I had a skull cap on, and I didn't. And so when they got closer and saw that I literally shaved my head and left the ring, like it freaked them out. Like one girl left, like she got so freaked out she left. I'm like, why are you leaving over back here? But yeah, that was good times.
All right, let me show you one thing real quick. Hang on.
Come on, I want to see this. What we got?
Sorry, this is old school for me. Like
come on,
look at this.
Yes.
The exposure is going to be awful. Was the focus?
It's okay. We
ever
can still
gonna
see
catch?
hair. Look at that.
No, there's
you.
no hair.
Look at you.
Do you remember this?
I do. Speaking to you and Jonathan, look at that.
I know. That was the first time I shaved my head. Listen, my
you can
head,
see the tan line. You can see
it had never
white.
seen the like any sun.
Yeah.
And I shaved my head that day. I walked into the church, or I walked downstairs. Jennifer was walking in the church. She bolted into the bathroom and started crying. Like she was so upset. Little did she know
that's right.
That was the rest of her life.
Yeah, you married a prophet. So there you go. And she still runs into the bathroom crying whenever.
Yes. Every time I walk in the door.
Who inspires me? Man, I'll tell you, dude. So like people that I'm connected with personally, no joke, you, like I said before, man, like just where you are right now as a content creator and really just building it on your own, so to speak. You know, I mean, you built the program when you were a teacher, the stuff you did with Shelby County Schools, like just and putting stuff out there to help other people. I mean, when you were there, like, I don't feel like you felt like the videos you were putting out were equal with Peter McKinnon.
No, definitely not.
You know what I'm saying? And that's no bash on you. I'm just saying,
right.
like, but you did it anyway, because you're like, look, man, like I may not be the only person doing this. And so, and you and I have talked about that before too. Like, man, when you have a pet project as part of a content creator, you just have to do it. Like, who cares if it gets traction and popularity? Because you want to continue to grow. And also too, it's just fun because you're doing it for you, right? And I have projects I do all the time that are just for me. I do stuff advertising our high school athletics because I love doing graphic design in the context of athletics. Like that's my favorite design genre. And I don't really have an outlet for that. So I just do all this stuff for football games and playoff games and stuff like that just for free because it's just fun. So you inspire me. My creative director, Danny Doyle, I'll shout him out, man. He's the best graphic designer that I know. I mean, he's second to none, dude. He's so good. And he and I enjoy working together. And I'll be working on a project, man. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And then he'll go, hey, man, what if you make like this tweak? What if you move this here? What do you do that? I'm like, you're a freaking genius. Like, why am I even here? I mean, just he's really, really good. And then, just looking online, to be honest with you, man, like there's people like Aaron Draplin, who's based out of the Pacific Northwest, that he does illustrative posters and stuff. And I mean, his symmetry is crazy. He'll take the most complex design and make it look so simple. And it's just you probably can watch a video and in your mind like how much work went into the story writing, to the setup, to the lighting, to the post-production editing. But when they're really, really good, it flows so seamlessly that you hardly even notice anything. Right. And Aaron Draplin's like that. He's really good. And then, dude, really just, I mean, because of the space I'm in, a lot of higher education, just looking at some other publications, because I mean, we're not gonna be able to do pieces that are going to win creative awards. I know Billy Ivy talked about that, right? These people win these awards and it's like, yeah, but was the product effective? You don't know, right? It just looked good. And so for the space I'm in, white space is kind of a, like we'll try to build wide space. I call it visual breathing room. That's what I call white space, like give some visual breathing room on the page. So like they may look at your slide and go, oh, we have that whole left corner that we can put content, right? We can put words or we can put pictures. And it's like, we don't have to. You can give some visual breathing room. And so other higher education programs we'll look at to see kind of what they're doing. My creative director, Mike Robinson, I forget the name of the design firm he's at in Birmingham, but they do a lot of higher education stuff, and he's really, really talented. And I kind of go sneak a peek at their projects from time to time.
Hey, I've always said look and find what you like,
Yeah,
imitate some of that, find something
yeah,
else you like, imitate some of that, find something else you like,
yeah,
imitate some of that. After a while, this combination of
yeah,
imitations is now
yeah.
unique to you and you found your
That's right.
style, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I feel like even the most creative of people were influenced somehow in some way, and especially
Definitely.
nowadays, like, I mean, the whole world can see creative content. Whereas before it was like, unless you showed up with your portfolio,
Right.
it's like I didn't know what you were doing, or I got it in the mailbox, right?
Yeah.
If anybody even knows what that is anymore. And so, uh, yeah. So we have a whole bin in our office, and we have two towers. One says ours and one says theirs. And it's like anytime we get something that we can pull from, we're throwing it in that drawer. Brochure, handout, magazine, whatever, and we're pulling it out and we're looking at it, and it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Like I
Well,
said,
listen,
I
like I
didn't.
said, man, I have the least creative space. I work in higher education, and I'm in a study room at a building next door to my building, and so yeah, so I have the least creative space. But I
Well,
appreciate you guys, man.
well, I think again, to me, man, you're sort of
That's
the.
me now. Every morning I wake up.
I'm sure you are the OG, so to speak, of creatives in my life, and
Well, I
and uh,
appreciate that,
and I
man.
appreciate you. I appreciate just what you taught me,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
example you always were, not just as a creative, but just as a man and just a
Oh, yeah,
person in
man.
general. So I appreciate you,
Yeah,
Greg.
dude. I
Seriously.
told you you're gonna make me cry, man. Come on.
All
You're
right.
an
Well,
incredible
that's
creator, Brian.
no.
I know
I'm.
you. I know you probably cringe as we all do seeing your early work, but it really helps you see, like, as an individual and as a creative, like, just how far we progress in a good way, right? And I think we need that early work to remind us of
I
how far
agree.
we've come, man.
I
Yeah,
agree. I wish I could have
yeah,
found more of your early work, but I might have you
yeah.
back on. I'll reach out to a bunch of people on Facebook and be like, "All right, I need
I
shirt
and I'll
designs,
say
all
this
of
too,
that
man.
stuff."
Like people ask me all the time. They're like, well, what have you done that I've seen? And I'm like, I don't know, probably not a lot. Like a lot of my stuff just isn't super public. And so that cuts both ways, right? The
Right.
stuff that I'm like, please don't put my name on that. But then there are some things I'm like, I kind of like how that turned out. But
Well, I
hey,
did
man,
come across gregkey.com and I looked at some of your work on there
oh,
as well as I
that's pretty
looked at
dated.
it. Well, that's
Yeah,
what I figured just
yeah.
based on some of the stuff I saw.
So I'll be honest with
Um,
you. I basically built that when I was looking for a job about 4 years ago,
right.
and now that I have a job, I don't need my digital portfolio to be updated because I like my job.
I get that. Do you do this stuff for the website?
Some of it, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
then
the video creation, no, but yeah. So predominantly, I do work for recruitment and outreach, and for student services. And so every now and again, some of our social media content, some of our graphics will be something that I've done.
yeah.
And sometimes it's just so, like that engineering minute video, like I
Yeah.
created that logo, and then our video producer team, and sometimes you'll hear me voice over that too, by the way. It's kind of cringy, to be honest with you. That one may be actually me right there. I don't know
Let
if
me
your
see.
volume is connected or
No.
not.
No. It's a
No,
female
I don't
voice.
remember doing her, but anyway, but yeah. So every now and again you'll see a graphic that I did that'll get posted. But I don't know, man. I'll say this: I feel weird self promoting.
I
You
get
know,
that. I get that.
if I was self employed, right? If I was full time freelance, like, it'd probably be different. But I don't know. A lot of people have asked me to share my work and, like, to keep my stuff updated. Some of it I'm just so busy. I have a full time job here, full time freelance, full time family. I still like to exercise and work out, so I have to fit that in. I usually go about 8 o'clock at night, usually between like 8 and 9 at night, to go exercise because that's the only time I have. So it's just I only sleep about 6 hours on a good night. So it's like, when do I do that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
So
think,
sorry for all the people that want to go look me up, man.
well, go look him up anyway. At least if nothing else, follow you on Instagram and we'll get to see more
Yeah.
goofy pictures of you because you
Well,
like
I,
to
I have to
post.
say it's still me and my kids goofing off. There's no doubt about that.
I
So
like it. I like it. Well, Greg,
yeah,
seriously, thank you so much for
yeah,
joining me today, man.
yeah.
It was
God
an
bless you,
honor.
brother. I appreciate you so much. I really do hope to make one of your content creator meetups, man, in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible, man. I even got a little bit of nostalgia when Johnny had his food truck at the last one. I was like, oh gosh, I haven't seen Johnny in decades,
I know,
man.
I know. Hey, and his brisket, man. If you haven't,
Yeah.
if you're a fan
No,
of
I follow
brisket,
him on
his is
social media. My
incredible.
mouth waters. I was like, my mouth waters just looking at the pictures, and I'm like, I can
Yeah,
only imagine.
yeah, he's good. I'm trying to schedule another one, so hopefully we'll get one soon,
Yeah,
and I'll
it's good,
definitely
man.
make sure you know about it, and if you can be there, I'd love for you to
Yeah.
be.
Hey, and you know what, too, man? Like, I appreciated the vulnerability and the transparency of that early podcast you did. I forget the names of the two
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
that did it
yeah,
with you when you were sitting at that table.
yeah. Tyler
Um,
and Jacob.
Yeah, dude. I listen, man. If nobody's told you, just the transparency and the vulnerability as a creator, I really connected on so many storylines that you guys had, and I was like, dude, most people don't say this out loud, and they certainly don't post it online. And
Right.
so I'm like, dude,
For
kudos to
good
you guys.
reasons in some
Well,
cases.
even looking at the evolution of like your mic setup and using, I don't know if you used a stream deck or not, but just using for the
Yeah.
producing, to going back and
Right.
forth with the cameras, and even seeing your decor. Like I saw the evolution of all your posters on the wall, even the way
Yeah.
you had your table turned. I mean, just all of that. I just was like, I loved it, man, because like I see stuff like Peter McKinnon, and I feel like he was like that from day one. And the truth of the matter is, he wasn't. You know what
Right.
I mean? None of us
Right.
were.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, I don't use the term imposter syndrome, but it is intimidating that like sometimes you don't see that journey. And so I loved it. I love what you do, man. I really do. I appreciate you, dog.
Well, I appreciate that big time.